So we've got people look like they're in their office, and then we have Jody who's in San Fran, baby. Must be time for
it.
Yeah.
must be time for a trip.
Soon. Oh, I better change that up. I want palm trees.
There you go. Well, I appreciate everybody joining me this morning, and I thought I'd have some kind of a crowd here in Colonial Park, but I think everyone decided that Zooming is much more fun, and you can manage that much better from your house, so or your office, or from your virtual world, like Jody has chosen. And but thanks for tuning in. And for those of you that don't know me, I'm John Tice. I've been managing with Howard Hanna, I don't know, for 6 or 7 years or 8 years, something like that. But I'm a veteran of the real estate business for about 42, 43 years now. And I've always had an interest in the technology. So what's happening these days in the world is perfect for me. So what I'm going to show you today and what we're going to discuss, and I do hope you have questions and jump in here. We're going to be talking about what you can do to build your brand, and particularly using video or some of the tools that we've adopted coming through COVID, like Zoom, for maybe a virtual open house, or for just your market update, which I don't follow all of you, but I will follow more of you. But I'd encourage you to take a look at some of the things I did, and I'll be sharing some of the numbers with you, which is all it took to convince me that this is a great medium. I have been playing in video for probably the best part of 15 years now, ever since social media came on the scene. And I attended a conference, and they talked about the benefits of video and creating a brand. So my question to you, when you want to reach out to your to any consumer, so you've listed a new property or you're having an open house, what's the most effective way of sharing that news and reaching the most people? What do you think? We always use newspapers. Those things are still out there. Postcards are still available to you. You have social media. You have a lot of choices. So what do you do? What do you do to reach everybody?
Great. Thanks for that note. I will do that.
Any ideas? Jody, what would you do? What would you do to reach the largest group of people?
Okay,
Well, I throw it out on the social media and certainly on the internet platform, because it reaches, it's amazing how many people it does reach.
Yeah, you're going to have your greatest reach there. But the thing we're discovering, nobody knows. Nobody knows the best way to reach everybody, because everybody's doing something differently. If I just went around the group here and said, well, where do you get your news? Well, one of you would watch the Today Show, and somebody else watches Fox, and somebody else watches something else. So even if we're watching television and getting our news, it's still very fragmented. So now you have to meet all those people on all those different networks. And then you have guys like me that don't turn on the news just because they don't ever report anything great about real estate. So I stopped watching the news in 2008 as the whole world started blowing up around us. And it was the only way I could keep showing up and smiling about being in real estate as everything melted down and we watched people go upside down in their homes and, you know, the whole story. So the best thing to do for me was to focus on the market, and that helped me keep going forward. So I stopped watching the news. So you're not going to reach me that way. I really don't. Let's see, we've got people waiting. So I really don't subscribe to the news in a lot of ways. So I started following just the data in our marketplace, and that became my reality. So I created my own reality. So going live with video and doing some video things was just a natural for me because it made a lot of sense. And I'll do anything that logically makes sense to me. And that actually covers a pretty broad territory. But, you know, to be around 42 years and to be my age, you got to do a couple things to stay kind of hip and current, or you really get bypassed. As everyone says, well, you know, there's the old guy. Well, do you text? Well, sure I do. Do you do this? Yeah, sure I do. The funny thing is I'm the oldest guy around with the most experience, and I'm the guy teaching these things because they have just been stepping stones in my career. It's just the progression of what we do. If I decided I'm going to keep marketing the way I did 30 years ago and only put things in the newspaper, who would I be talking to? You're talking to a really small audience. And so things like social media allow us to really reach a large group. So since we can agree on that one, I believe, then we're going to talk about how to do it more efficiently. And that's where, for me, that's where video comes in. For me, it's all about building a brand. And that's my goal every day, is to build the John Theis brand, the Howard Hanna brand. I hope you like my studio set up here today. I walked into Colonial Park, and this is kind of a big bare room, but they've got these great large pieces of Hanna art. And so tip number one, be aware of your surroundings if you're going to do a video. So I walked in and saw this and thought, well, why would I want to be in the front of the training room when I could be in the rear and have this great backdrop? Because this kind of sets the tone. Even if someone's sitting in their office and they've got the sound muted, I'm still getting my branding across. So be aware of your surroundings. Now, this is a good background. What if something bad was going on in the background? Do you think anybody's paying attention to your message? They're going to be glued to whatever is taking place in the background. Maybe there's a dog, you know, running around or whatever it might be. And you're going to lose their focus. So be aware and let it help sell your message. A couple statistics for you. Why is video important to me? Well, we know that nearly 70% of the traffic, all of the traffic on the entire internet today is video. So if that one doesn't get your attention alone, people are consuming video at phenomenal numbers. I used to teach a class like this when there were 1 million videos viewed on YouTube per hour. And now you're at like 1 billion. The numbers are so staggering, and yet we drag our feet as a industry in getting into the video world. One of the stats that put me over the top, and why would I do video? You know, when you go out to list a home, the percentage of sellers that want to work with an agent that's going to use video marketing has been hovering around 80%. It's probably higher today, but NAR has it in their stats. But the number is so staggering, but the number of agents is around 15% that are using video. So if you want to stand out, there you go. There's one place to start. You can simply say, I'll be using video to market your property. Typically, if you follow me at all, you're going to find that I'm out here because we're placing the signs or preparing this property. And now it went live. And now here we are doing a virtual open house. And I'm doing all these things virtually by video. And the great thing is, I do them all with my iPhone. Now, I have a whole bag of tricks here that we're going to talk about a little bit to turn out a better product. But at the end of the day, if you do nothing more than pull out your phone and start talking about the market, start talking about the property, it doesn't have to feature you. So if you're going to tell me, John, I don't want to be in the video, I don't care. But it'll be on your page and you'll be saying, hi, I'm Jody with Howard Hanna, the Camp Hill office. And today, here's my market update. You just tell them who you are. They're on your page. They'll connect the dots. But I would always encourage you to at least make a cameo appearance in your video. So when you do show up, you don't startle somebody and they say, oh my gosh. You know, it's kind of like The Voice when they turn the chair around and they say, oh my God, I had no idea you were a man. I had no idea you were a woman, that you were tall. I expected somebody different, because we make judgments very quickly. And that's the beautiful thing about video and photos in general. We can match that image. If you would have known me 40 years ago when I came into business, I had very dark hair. I looked like I was 12. I was 22, 23 years old, got licensed. I was in an industry where everybody was 60. There were very few agents. And I was always at a disadvantage because I looked so young. And then I went on appointments for years when the people would open the door and they'd look around and they'd say, well, we were expecting Mr. Tice. I said, well, that's me. Well, you can't be Mr. Tice. You know, he's been in the business for years. I said, well, that would be me. I've been around a while. So when I started to turn gray, I developed a lot of credibility. When we started putting pictures of properties on television for the cable ad channel a long time ago, that was the best thing ever happened to me because my picture was married to the real estate picture, the picture of the home that people wanted to see. And so when I show up, they were expecting me. So that's what we're going to be talking about today, the power of putting your image out there, matching your brand, so when you show up, you don't have any convincing to do with somebody. You can do all that through video, talk about what you do. Maybe you'll make a video that you're going to email to everybody before a listing appointment. I do talk a lot about listings because that's all I think about. So maybe before a listing appointment, you want to send them a video. Here's what I do and here's what you can expect. So when I walk in the door, they're ready to do business with me. They already have an understanding. We've heard people talk about sending out pre-listing packages for years. Here's the forms. All these things to kind of soften them up before you show up. I think a video could be a very simple thing. And the great thing is you can record it once and share it with a link. And they don't know if you made it just for them, but if it's what you do and you do it consistently, the great thing is you only talk about it one time. So you can really start to leverage this. You know, I'm too busy for video. But if you can repurpose it 10, 20, 30, 50 times and have the people informed that when you walk in the door, you've just saved yourself time, we're saving a lot of time. And that's what I love the fact that we can use this as a time saver and again, get our message across. They'll pick up a little of your personality by how you are in that video. And that's a good thing because very few of us really change that much from the time we get out of our car to get into the front door. So the person in the video is most likely going to be the same guy that walks in their living room. So an old technique for video, think about questions that you answer all the time. Think about conversations that you have all the time. And maybe you want to track them for a short time and say, you know, I didn't realize that I constantly was explaining agency to everybody. I was constantly explaining closing costs. Closing costs, I think, would be a very relevant topic in any market because the buyers I deal with never know what closing costs are. They never have. So get it out of the way. Let's do a video about closing costs. Guess what? You're going to need money to buy this house. They're called closing costs. Here's a detailed list that's attached to the video, whatever you do. And you get those messages across. You're educating people, which nobody else is doing. It will save you time. They'll be better informed. So when they show up and say, I watched your video, I've got my $5 grand, let's go find a house. How beautiful is that? If you send out the pre-listing packages and you show up and they said, I've already completed the seller's disclosure like you told me, do you think you're getting the job? Same principle, just a little different application. So give me a couple questions, if you would, please. Oh, we got a couple more people joining us. So hit me with a question or two so I have a little direction, what you'd like to get out of this program, because I can do this all day, but I want it to be meaningful for you. And remember, you're all muted, so unmute yourself and give me a topic or two, because I have a definite plan where we're going to go, but I'll make sure that I answer your question along the way. Jody, what do you have?
So John, when you go ahead and put up your sign, you know, kind of doing the little tease video, do I have to be, or do you have to be concerned about the coming soon or any aspect about that? I'd like clarification on that, please.
Absolutely. So that does, it falls under the heading of advertising or marketing your listing. And we all know as soon as you start marketing your listing, you have 24 hours to get it into the multi-list. So I've stolen Hobie's technique that he's been talking about lately. And that is simply, well, list the house on Friday. So if I make my listing active on Friday, I can do anything I want because it's only due in the MLS on Monday. So my most recent listing, I took on a Thursday because that's when they were in town, and dropped it into Find It First. So it was out there. That gives me a lot of things that I can start to do to market. I have 2 days to get it into the multi-list. So the 2 days would have been Friday and Monday. Now in this case, because I drew so much attention between my announcement video and the fact that it was in Find It First, and I posted that onto my Facebook page, that Friday I put it into the multi-list, and then we of course sold the house Monday night. It was a $200,000 home. It went over full price. But the thing I believe many of us are missing, and I knew I was, you know, it's so exciting to put it on the market and get all that action, and you get the offers and you run out and sell it, because that's what we do. But we miss that whole marketing moment. And so I purposely listed it on Thursday, pre-marketed it on Friday, put it into the multi-list Friday afternoon. I scheduled and ran a virtual open house for Sunday because I wanted to get all the marketing out of it that I could in the brief time that it was active. And then these pieces live on forever. So all I have to do for my next listing appointment is show it with my iPad or my phone and say, here's the video a similar video that I'll be doing for your home today, as soon as you sign the paperwork. Now, I've been field testing these kind of things for years, and I firmly believe that it's one thing to say, oh, I'm going to be sending out postcards, I'm going to create flyers, and I'm going to do a video, but you didn't do any of them yet. And it's kind of a trap, especially in this market, when the home sells in 48 hours and you didn't get around to doing any of those things. So the owners start to say, well,
it's
do we get a discount because
web pages, home tours, and doing live video.
anyway, do we get a discount because you didn't do any of these things that you said you do? And Jody's bobbing, so she's been in that appointment. I've been in that appointment because for years we had our laundry list. Here are the 12 things I'm going to do in the next 2-3 weeks to market your property. What's sold in 2 days? So that would be a list that I don't publish anymore. But what I do show you is things that I've done and I'm going to be doing, and I'm going to be doing it as soon as you sign this contract because I have all the junk in my car, and I'll walk outside and do a video. And I don't care if it's raining or snowing or sunny, I will do it right then. A couple of years ago, I was doing using an app called Videolicious. And I would create a little announcement video using pictures from your home that I shot while I was walking through the house, taking my notes on listing your home. And again, my shtick was always, well, I just created a video, you get to watch it, and I could create one of these in minutes while they're sitting there playing with the seller's disclosure. And I'd say, I'm going to post this as soon as I hit this button. So when you sign this, your marketing begins right now. And you will be on YouTube and Facebook instantly. I think it's so much more powerful than talking about what you're going to do. I'm ready to go. I am ready to do business right now. And remember, I'm talking to that 80-some% of sellers that want video used in marketing their home. Well, the other guys are going to have to go back and think it over, and I've already done it. And we've done these successfully and really get great response. The owners share them. It's a fun thing. Nicole, I see you're not muted. Did you have a question for us, or did you have an idea?
I do. So I've become pretty comfortable with doing like short little videos and walkthroughs of homes and things like that. And I usually put them on YouTube to share them. But I'm not comfortable, and I just don't think I ever will be doing like a live, like the Facebook Live and all that stuff. So do you have any recommendations, like how we incorporate like a virtual open house and how I can do some of this with what I am comfortable doing, but I'm just not comfortable going live.
Well, my biggest tip would be look at the difference in the numbers when you do it live versus not live. You know, I consider myself an extroverted introvert. I am not afraid to get in front of a group. I'm not afraid to get on live video, anything like that. But I had to push myself to do it for many years till I got comfortable doing it. And that's what I would recommend. And I recommend it for, here's the reason. If I'm going to go live on Facebook versus posting a video, if I post a video, now I have about 300 followers for my page. If I post a video, I'm going to get about 30 to 50 views out of that because that's what Facebook does. Now, if I want to start spending money, I can push that number up. One of my most recent videos that I did on my page, but I did it live, as of today, is at about 1,000 views without spending any money.
I haven't touched it.
That is the difference. So if you want to get the best bang for your buck for your time, I'd encourage you to do live. Now, there's also a couple benefits or bonuses that go with going live. You come across more authentic. I'm the last guy that will ever wait for something to be perfect for me to do it. I think perfection stops a lot of people in their tracks. I live with a perfectionist. It's painful to help her do something. And she was teaching school last year at this time, and I was her video guru to help because she taught music. So to do music, it took live videos every night, and we'd be out recording little segments. But she's a perfectionist, and I made her promise that anything we did once. Now, I've been doing these, like I said, for about 15 years, and the thing that I know, and I believe it, and I would tell anybody, the best take that you're going to do is the first one. Because as soon as you screw something up and you start over, what do you start to do? You think, and you start to overthink. Okay, I don't want to do that again, and I didn't want to say it that way, and so you start to paralyze yourself, and it gets longer and worse, and it gets wordy, and it gets messy. So trust me on this one, and if I ever get around you and we do a video, you will find we will be live, and we do it once and done, and you will be great. Now, I've walked through trade shows with guys that are paying to be there, marketing one product all day long, and you walk up and say, hey, I'd like to do a video for my office because they're not here and I'd like to share what you do. And they get tongue-tied. It's like, really, guys? So if I'd ask them about doing a video, they'd make a mess of it. If I walk up and just say, hey, I'm recording a message from my office, tell me what you do, they'd be great. As soon as you start thinking, you slow the whole process down. So a couple things to think about. And if you want to watch a really good piece on video and being prepared, Matthew Ferrara, which you're going to find in Hannah U, does a great piece. And all those pieces are 6-8 minutes long. He does a great piece on how to create a video. And he talks about writing. If you ever watched the old Disney shows, they always had the animators, they had their storylines that they would draw out. Well, Matthew's going to tell you, have a storyline, which is nothing more than a plan. I'm going to say hi. I'm going to talk about closing costs. I'm going to talk about a story that just happened to me where somebody didn't understand closing costs. And you just build it out, and it's just your framework for what you're going to talk about. But if you're one of those perfectionist types and you need a plan, well, there you go, make one. But watch Matthew's piece. It's really well done, and he's going to tell you, just go for it. You guys already know what you're doing. You repeat this stuff to everybody, and if you screw it up, laugh it off and keep going, would be my recommendation. You know, I'm going live today. I'm here in the basement. Like I said, I love the backdrop. So everyone that's walked in the room is looking around because they thought there's a class. Well, I'm standing here in the back. So, but the scene was important to me. So a couple things on, let's take a look at my Facebook page, and it might be a little easier for me to keep my thoughts in order. Now, I assume that the majority of you are on Facebook, and if you're not, I'd encourage you to do it. I'd also encourage you to be looking into Instagram. I'm not an Instagram person per se. Why do I like Facebook? Because that's where the most people are. It has some of the best tools for doing this. And it just works. And it gives me a platform to share my message like never before. Before I hop over there, while I can still see you, anybody with any questions or any feedback for us?
John, it is true. I've hired somebody to help me with doing some digital work. And when we do a little video, it is amazing when we look at the stats, how many people look at it, we reach, and it's just a little blip. And so it's a great tool to have. I just need to do more. And Nicole, I'm envious of you because you're doing a lot more than what I am, for sure.
So Nicole, when you do, thank you, Jody. You're spot on. The reach is so much better. So remember, live is going to give you more reach. Facebook wants your money. And so when you're posting things, to push it out there, they want you to boost that post. However, when you do a live video, they tell people that follow you, John Tice is live. It pops up on all your screens and you tap it and you're watching John live. I do a number of things throughout the week consistently, and that's one of your tricks. If you're going to do something, I'd recommend that you do it consistently. So here's my Tuesday market update from Camp Hill. I do a lot of market updates from Hershey. The other day I did one. I have roller coasters in the background. The time before that, I was at the Rose Garden. I've got all these great scenes in Hershey that I can just pull out in my car, hop out, throw out a tripod, and go live. And I've got all this great scenery because the image, why is this important? Because the image is the first thing that's going to cause somebody to watch your video. So you want an image that's going to stop them in their tracks and make them push play. So all of these platforms allow you to add a custom thumbnail to your posts as you put them up. Live is what it is. And I would recommend that once it's live and you're finished, go back and add a thumbnail so that it makes more sense, that you don't catch somebody doing one of these, because he's getting ready when the thing went live, and that's what Facebook chose. But whether it's YouTube or Facebook, they allow you to pick your thumbnail, and that's just a static image that's going to sell your video. So again, the image is important. That's your first thing that's going to cause somebody to stop. And then, of course, we go from there. The second thing you want to do, there's a setting in Facebook that adds captions to the bottom of all of your videos. We know that roughly half of the videos watched are watched with the sound turned off. And you'd think, well, why would people ever do that? What do you think? They're at work. When is the highest viewership? Between 9 and 5. So they're at work watching your video. If they have the audio turned off, they aren't getting your message. So you want to turn on captions, and you turn on auto captioning in Facebook, and it will actually transcribe everything I do and turn it into captions at the bottom. So if I turn the audio on, the captions go away. If the audio is turned off, there are the captions. When it first started doing this, it was pretty bad. But it's gotten better over time, and you can help train it because you can go in and edit those captions. It's kind of tedious to do, but I would tell you at the beginning, go in and start doing that because you're training it based on your style, on your speech, your equipment setup. All those things are taken into consideration. So make sure you go in and turn on captions and then go back and edit a few of them at first. And if you don't want to do that, don't, because it's going to be pretty good. Facebook cannot spell John Tice. It likes to spell it Tyce, so you might see a lot of that. I got over it a long time ago. I just don't care, so I don't go back and edit that any longer. It screws up punctuation. Remember, I said I'm not a perfectionist. I think done is so much better than perfect. And so I like things that are done because I want to move on. But I have these things set up that they automatically just do it every time. I don't have to think about it. And every time I look at one of my videos and I see the captions, it's like, oh, that's right. I had that on. Isn't that great? Anybody else with a question before we hop over into the Facebook world or a comment? Is it all making sense? Yeah. I see a few of you writing. That's terrific. I appreciate that. So let's get to my screen share here. So I've done a number of things lately. I've been on a mission just for one of my posts, and this is a little bit of a real estate commercial for you. I personally think that we're starting to feel a little bit of a cooling in the market, and I think it's being driven by the buyers. Chart that just came out of Bright this week shows the listing activity, which is the red line, compared to other years of listing activity. Now, we know that the big blue line was last year when we weren't working in April and May, March, April, May. So, of course, the listings were down. But everyone says that we've got a listing shortage. No, we don't. We've got the listings. We have an abundance of buyers. And so I think it's important that we start to temper that message to the sellers. And that's exactly what my post talks about. So you'll see I reached 39 people with that post. Again, I have a decent following for this page, but since I've been managing off and on for so many years, I never really gave it the attention that I needed. But look at the insights. The insights are the analytics behind your page. My reach this month has been, this week, last 28 days, there we go, from the last 28 days, is up 84% because I listed a property. I actually listed 2 properties. I've been out promoting them. The engagements are up 79%. And I picked up new people, which was a 40% gain over what I typically do, which is, very low. But the engagement part, again, strong art is important. I shared this piece last year and just repurposed it again. But here's one of my videos with the roller coasters in the background. I have some equipment that I'm going to talk about in a second to help you do a little better quality product when you're doing a video. But there we are with the roller coasters in the background. This was a new listing I took in Lebanon. I used it as a backdrop for my market update. But the one that really did well, this was my open house that we did, and you can see reached 630 people. And then one more, this was when I was talking about this home coming new to the market. So something new on the market, a new listing, is the hottest thing. This has reached 1,600 people. It just started to go and go. There were 9 shares. I'm not even sure who shared it all. I know I shared it a couple times. Here's an important tip. Make sure your seller is going to share these pieces when you do them for your new listings. That's where the shares came in. This particular owner, she actually wrote me for permission to share the post, which I thought was pretty cute. But between she and her son-in-law and daughter, they shared it out. I shared it to other pages that I operate under, and it just blew up the reach. And then it reaches friends of them that know them. Maybe they know the house. And so you get to reach a market that you don't typically bump into. And I reached these numbers without spending any money. Maybe it was my snazzy legs that they were tuning in for.
John, I have a question.
Uh-huh.
Is this your personal page or business page? And like, I haven't done live video yet. Can you do it from your business page or is it always from your personal page?
Always from my business page.
Okay.
I start everything on my business page. It gives me more tools, and it's also more compliant for Facebook. And then I just share this post onto my personal page. And so I start to reach different audiences. My personal page, I don't deluge people with real estate information. My business page, it's all business all the time. And everything I share there has a purpose. So great question. There's been this battle forevermore of, well, I don't need a business page. Well, yeah, you do, because there are many different rules and different tools that pop up. My favorite are the analytics. I want to know where this is going. I want to know who's watching it. So while we're here, let's take a look at the analytics behind the page. This is a critical piece, because just like if I walk into a room, I want to prepare for an appointment with people and have some sense of who they are. Well, when I start putting my posts out on Facebook, I want an idea of who my audience is. Well, when we come in here to the analytics, and it's going to show me the how each thing has performed, whether I boosted it or not. I look at this just to get a sense of what people respond to. And there you'll see my new listing on the market, 1,700 reach. Everything else was kind of pale in comparison. And then my virtual open house was right behind it at 630. And it's all organic. There was nothing paid. But when I look at this, what I want to see is the people that like my page. Okay, is under page insights and then people. First thing we're going to see is where are they coming from? It's not unusual to have people from all over the world watching your page. But here's the most important piece. The split between men and women that are followers of yours, you're going to find in real estate, on almost anything I do, that the majority of the followers are women. The part that I find exciting on this page, that the spread between folks 25 to 34 or the 65 plus, it's almost equal across the board. Real estate appeals to everybody. And so we've got a strong reach across the board. So whatever I'm posting, it's resonating with a broad audience. For the men, it's practically the same. There's fewer of them, but you're going to see that it spikes a little differently. The 35 to 44 group is a bit of a spike, and 55 to 64. Not a great big difference, but a slight difference in my audience. So I always look at this to try and determine, well, I'm going to feed them a message that's interesting to them. So for the ladies, when they come to an open house, are they there to see the home, or are they there for decorating ideas? So maybe if you're doing things about staging, that might be more appropriate for the ladies. Or, check out the fabulous master suite, check out the great kitchen. For the guys, it might be more technical, or check out the awesome garage. And I hate to be sexist, but everybody's got their interests. And after all these years, it's the way I see the world. I'm going to be marketing those pieces and that lifestyle to a particular group. This tells me who my group is. Interestingly enough, this has really leveled off. Usually it would slowly climb, because we all know that anybody 25 to 30, what is the group, 34, they're all on Instagram, right? No, they're not. They're stalkers. The vast majority of people on social are stalkers. You don't know who they are, but I get a little view of who they are here. And it gives me a little direction in what I want to post. And then you can break it down between my fans, my followers, the people that are reached. Let's see if it changes. Not much. People that are engaged, that doesn't come up. But my followers and fans, very, very similar. So,
Hey, John,
yes.
When you do a virtual open house, do you do it from Facebook and do a live video?
What I'm doing right now, because I love the features that I have in Zoom, I'm using Zoom. I have a basic paid account, and it allows me to take that Zoom and stream it live into Facebook to this page. And so the open house that I did a week ago, this was me sitting on my side porch and streaming live into Facebook. And then I use the software, which is a virtual tour software, 360 virtual tour, and I walked them through the house using that software. So I get kind of the best of both worlds. I have all my images from the home. I can control the tour, show them what I want, and then I posted the link that took them to the tour. And so if they wanted to go back and play with it themselves, they had the ability to do that after the open house was open. But as I'm going along with this, I'm discussing, the features of the home and what it has, and I walk them through it physically, room to room. The beautiful thing is, I did an open house in 15 minutes. I walked 120 viewers through this house in 15 minutes. And then the reach has grown to 630 people. So there's hundreds of views of this particular open house. If I had 120 parties show up at any open house, you wouldn't know where to go. You wouldn't know what to do. And so that's the thing I like about it, is the reach. And if you listen to it, towards the end, it becomes a commercial talking about listing your property and what I do differently in marketing your home. So I'm typically open houses, I'm looking for the neighbor to walk in that's thinking about selling their home, because everything I do is geared towards another listing. That is it's the one thing I know in real estate, and I've known it all these years. You need listings. But this gives you a great tool to be able to manage this. And for a minimum investment, I think Zoom cost me $15 a month to have the version that gives me that streaming feature. Totally worth it.
Now, when you use the 360 virtual tour, do you have to have a special lens on your phone for that?
I do. That's correct. And so let me get out of screen sharing. And we'll go back to so the tools that I use, there's a website called iStaging. And my son always tells me I'm an early adopter. So when iStaging came on the scene probably 4 or 5 years ago, I saw it pop up and I became a user. Because I was one of their early subscribers, they sent me the kit for free. Now this is a $250 value that they're going to charge you if you go under their system, but there are other things you can use. But you get a rotator base, which will hold your cell phone. So the images that you were watching of that home, I shot using this cell phone and this base. When you turn it on and they pair up, it'll do the 360 circle. It's actually shooting 8 images, and then it will finish them, and using artificial intelligence, it merges them all together and balances the lighting. So if you look at those images in that virtual tour we were just watching, you'll see the lighting is perfect all the way around. It does a beautiful job. And then all I do is add on the lens, and that's how it works. And so for the ridiculous amount of $5 a month, I get to use this software, and it will host my shows or my tours for as long as I want them. And I can share them anywhere. I can have a link. I can add branding. So if it's something I'm doing for personal marketing, I have the branding on there. So it always says John Tice, Howard Hannum. For the multi-list to be compliant, you have to have it non-branded. So I will drop that off. but really a powerful little tool. And the owners think it's the coolest thing because I'm a very self-reliant guy. So I don't wait for the photographer. I'm not waiting for anybody. If I have the chance to list a house, I'm listing it, I'm marketing it now. I'm not waiting for things to be perfect. I don't do perfect, I do now. If we've priced it that you're going to be replacing flooring and roofing or something, I'm still listing it, but it's going to change up my marketing a little bit because of coming soon and the rules that go along with that. But nobody says you can't do marketing if it's in coming soon. You can't show it, you can't accept offers. So I could still do the open house, I could still do the updates, I could do whatever I want, just a little more limited, but only, you know, as much as you want it to be. It's not all or nothing at all. There's a lot of spots in between. And so I can do these things, and the tools just make it so simple that we have our access to, because we can do all these things. Again, they ride around in a bag. If you see me show it with this, and the managers have seen my little travel bag, maybe it's a microphone setup that I have, and this is all stuff adapted for cell phones. You always need a connector so I can put this on a tripod and pop my cell phone into there and do my remote work. One of the most critical things to any video is audio. You want to have great audio. So I have a collection of microphones that I carry. You already saw this one. Does a beautiful job. It's got the little fuzzy head on it because that'll block all the wind. Remarkable job. Bluetooth microphone. So I can, like I said, I do a lot of things on my own. So you'd think I have a tech crew some days with the quality that I can get. But a Bluetooth microphone gives me a range of about 200 feet from my phone. So I can walk all around the property and keep talking and be in the video while the video is tracking something else. Next to great sound, you need a stable image. Nobody wants to ride the roller coaster as you walk around and go bouncing through a house. So there are all kinds of tools that you can buy. I bought this little guy several years ago. It's a gimbal. I beat up phones terribly, and everyone gives me a hard time because they're always cracked. Well, that's because I drop them all the time, and I don't use any kind of a cover because I want to be able to pop it in and out of my gimbal. But the beautiful thing about this, and it extends like a selfie stick, but it holds it completely stable no matter what I do. And so if I go walking through a house, you'll see a little bit of bumping because of, you know, actually walking, but not nearly as wild as it would be if you were just holding the phone. And again, every time I pull one of these little toys out, somebody's standing there going, oh my gosh, you have all this stuff. They're completely impressed. And then it gives you a much more quality product. So it's always audio first and then video to create a good video. People will listen to a crappy video. They will walk away from a great video with crappy sound. They will shut it down immediately. How are we doing? Any questions so far? Because I did want to get this. Like I said, the important thing is that you go out and try this. The numbers are in your favor. If you are doing video, you become the expert in the area, and that is my goal. My goal is always to be the expert and raise the bar for everybody else. So if I say something, people expect that's what all agents do. So when another agent, should they choose somebody to call other than me, when they show up and they aren't covering any of this, they might be in trouble. And then I'm going to get that call, come on in because you said that you do this. And then typically it's like, okay, you say you do this, will you be doing it? Absolutely. And I usually have the equipment right with me to do it. We just walked through a home in Hershey. It's $1.6 million or $1.8 million. What a fun place to do videos. So Amber and I were doing a few videos as we were there that day. My favorite part, the garage. This house has a basement that would hold 8 or 10 cars. In Hershey, that's a big deal. Carlisle would be a big deal. You got people You got car people, they own a lot of cars. So we made that the focus of our presentation for that day. Now you have a few things to remember. I know one of the things that we were promoting, that this covers websites, using video, virtual tours. If you're maintaining a website for yourself, or if you have a Facebook page, remember, anything that you do becomes an ad. Any advertising requires full compliance with the state. So make sure that in your Facebook page, that your About section talks about John Tice with Howard Hanna Real Estate, Cocoa Avenue, 1240, I forgot my address, 1249 Cocoa Avenue, Hershey, PA, 717-520-0020. It's all the office information. So I've got full disclosure, one click away. All of your social media should have your profile set up in that manner. A couple reasons. First reason, you need to be in compliance with the state. Secondly, do you understand that Google reads every line of everything out there? When it starts finding those matches, oh, John Tice is on YouTube. There's a John Tice from Cocoa Avenue. He's on Facebook. Oh, he's on Instagram. He's on Twitter. It takes all that activity. Those are 4 major sites. And of course, howardhanna.com. I've got my same profile in there. When all the things match, and it's matching the name, the About section, so your criteria about your section, and your image, if those start to match, you get the added bonus of moving up in Google. Now, I've been teaching this for years. If you Google John Tice, the guy that owns johntice.com for a long time, because as soon as I heard of this technique, I wanted to go buy johntice.com. He beat me to the punch, and he's a photographer, and God knows where. I don't even look at him anymore. But he has johntice.com. That's a tough one to beat. There's also a John Tice that is a NFL Hall of Fame football player and coach. Never met him. But when Google looks for John Tice, johntice.com is hard to beat. NFL.com is hard to beat. ESPN.com is hard to beat. I beat them by having this consistent messaging amongst all my stuff on very active sites. And so ESPN isn't adding to John Tice anymore. It's just out there on a very active site. NFL.com, John Tice isn't doing anything new, but John Tice in Real Estate is doing updates and changes and live videos on a consistent basis. I dominate the front page of Google just because of the activity. Now, as I'm managing, I do less activity right now for John Tice. But when I'm going full tilt, at one time I had 4 posts out of 10 on the first page of Google without spending a dime. And so it's very possible to make those, they call it Google juice in the marketing world. I have tremendous Google juice because I'm using very active sites and I'm active on them. It's a very critical thing to do. So if people go out and search John Tice Realtor, got a good chance of being found pretty easily, and they're going to get some great choices. Do I want to go look at his videos on YouTube? Should I find him on Facebook? Should I go to the Howard Hanna site? They're going to see them all, and they're all very busy sites, and they all tell the same story, which is critical. And then when I get into each platform, there's some subtle differences of things that I post. Didn't even say LinkedIn. LinkedIn is very video friendly right now. The whole world wants your video because the consumers want your video. They consume it at great rates. So make sure that your sites are compliant and that you're doing things on an ongoing basis. And then people like consistency. So if you're going to do a market update, maybe you'll pick Tuesday or Friday. I don't really care. I don't care if it's Wednesday night at midnight, you do your market update. But if you do it consistently, you will be stunned because you can watch the counter of people that are watching live as you're presenting. It's like, don't you people have lives? But they don't. They are tuned into this. People have their phone in their hand at all times. The amount of video the average individual consumes on a daily basis, it's several hours. They're doing it through social sites. And so when I come on, they're getting a notice that John Tice went live. And it's just not unusual for me within seconds to have viewers. Don't know who they are or what they're doing half the time, but they're there, and that's all that matters to me. I get a lot of comments from people, well, I don't know who's going to do this or that. If you put an ad in the newspaper or send out a postcard or put it on the radio or did any other media, you know even less. I can go in and see the analytics and see what people are doing, see who they are by the demographics, so I can tailor my message. I call this throwing darts instead of the shotgun blast for marketing. We get to throw darts these days. It's why Facebook is so popular for marketers in general and marketing messages, because it's inexpensive, it has a tremendous reach, and it can be free. So here's my new technique that I'll be test driving this week, because I just came up with this one. If you follow social media, one of my favorite coaches is Tom Ferry. Well, Tom right now is talking about a tool. It's the population migration tool on Redfin.com. Redfin is a virtual real estate company making some inroads in many markets. But they have a tool called the migration tool, and it'll show that because of COVID or just in general, people are leaving major metros and they're moving into other marketplaces to buy real estate. So coming into the Harrisburg market or metro, which all of us are in, the number one place, anybody know the answer where the money is moving from? The money is moving mostly from Washington, D.C. into the Harrisburg market. Go figure. So knowing that, I intend to, I just listed a large Victorian, $575,000. It's 40-some hundred square feet. It is a hardcore Victorian house, beautiful. Locally, do we have the market for that? Sure. But in the meantime, if I'm looking for somewhere to invest money and market this property, the next step I'll be doing is creating a virtual open house. So I'm going to walk them through the home, and then I'm going to take that and I'm going to share it into the Washington market, Lancaster market, Philadelphia market, because I guarantee you, none of those markets have this home at this price. And so many people are working virtual. Maybe somebody has that moment, you know, someday I want to own a hardcore Victorian house. Here it is. We might hit them at the right time, and I'm going to pop up right on their Facebook page because I get to pick the market that it goes to, and I can put in there, you know, interested in real estate, investment, Victorian homes, and it's going to do the hard work for me in sharpening that dart. So that's going to go out to a group that is most interested in that particular piece of property. And we're going to go fishing and, you know, invest $25 into it. And $25 would do absolutely nothing in any other medium, but in Facebook, it's going to get me thousands of views in a town that I couldn't reach any other way. I don't even have to look it up and say, who's the newspaper in the area? What do people watch? They're all on Facebook, and we know that. So that's going to be one of my new techniques for marketing this property. And we'll go fishing a little bit, and I'll be able to see where the hits come from because the analytics will tell me. So it's a little advanced tip that I'm going to be trying, but I think it has some promise. And if nothing else, it gives me something to tell my owner. If I wanted to do an open house and make sure they were in the newspaper, I'm going to spend a couple $100. For $25, I'm going to reach a market that the New York Times or the Washington Post would only be able to reach. But I could be right in there talking to an individual most likely to ever look it up in the first place for $25. I can do it for $5. I can do it for any amount of money. I don't have to spend any money at all. But if I want to boost it up a little bit, it's one of the things I'm going to try. So hit me with some questions or thoughts, everybody. You got to have something. I've been talking for an hour. I don't want to stay over my time. So I'd love for you to have some comments, or have you tried it? What are you doing? What would you do differently? What do you like? What don't you like? Hit me with something. Martin, you got to have something down there. Can't you see that farm that you were out on? If we would promote it with some of this stuff, drone photography would be a fabulous one. We sold a farm.
I already thought about that. That would maybe me sitting in a horse and buggy, borrow one of the Amish guys' buggies and take a picture of that. That'd get some attention.
Absolutely.
Hey, let me show the viewers, John, how we started years ago, our technology compared to what you just showed them a few minutes ago. This is what John and I used to use.
Yes, we did.
Now,
that and a pocket planner and a pocket full of quarters, and you were in the real estate business, man.
That's right. You know, you said something, I think, to one of the girls, was a little bit concerned about video. A few weeks ago, I was asked to do a live podcast interview with Farm Credit on farms and sales and so on.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah, it was kind of cool. When she first asked me to do it, if I would do it, I said, sure, what the heck. And the more I thought about it, the more nervous I got, you know, and that, so.
I would have liked to have seen that.
Well, so she sent me the questions she was going to ask. So I actually had some candid, and this would go for you guys too, but I had some candid answers to point where I was going to go. And then once she came on and we started talking, it was just natural, just like we were here. So I think what the point John was trying to make is, don't think about it. Go ahead and take some notes so that you're prepared to what you're going to say, rather than just do nothing. But then once you get on a roll, every realtor I've ever known likes to talk. You know, if you didn't like to talk, you're not going to be in this business. So like John said, just go ahead and plan something and go ahead and do it. I think it'll come out a lot better than you think. Don't be afraid of it. John and I are both auctioneers, and I used to be really worried when I knew it was my turn to get behind the microphone. But as soon as you get behind the microphone and you take off, comes natural, doesn't it, John?
Yes, it does. I actually never know what my mouth is saying at an auction. That's why we have clerks. And then I say, what did I sell it for? Because I have no idea.
Oh yeah. When I sell rare coins, and I say sold about every 20 seconds, and I sell 125 up to 135 items an hour. So if I knock it down sold, and I'm looking at the next one to come up on the list, and somebody says, what did that sell for? That's already gone. That's out. Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, just don't be afraid to do it. Everything John's talking about, I think would benefit all these agents. And all your tool bag there, John, you know, what do you have? $600-700 wrapped up in the whole tool bag?
I don't think that would quite do it. I probably have the best part of $1,500.
Okay, well, still, for my point is, that's not a lot of money. Not, you wouldn't, a newspaper ad. The last time I put an ad in the Lancaster Farming newspaper, it was 3 inches by 3 inches to advertise a couple farms, and I got the bill was $569 for one little ad. So, you know, you can't beat what John's talking about.
You know, Martin, I was just telling somebody the other day, we're afraid to spend money on marketing. 30 years ago, my average spend in my local newspaper was $1,500 a month.
Oh yeah.
And now if you told somebody you're spending $1,500 on marketing today, they would explode. You know, it's like, oh my God, you must be buying Zillow leads. If you take $5 and put it behind a video, you'll be amazed at the people you'll reach. And it's not about spending money. You don't have to spend any money. These techniques I'm telling you will get you that reach without spending money. And then you can put a couple bucks on it besides to target it to a market that you think might make sense. And that's going to be different for all of us because I don't know the nature of your business, but it's a really simple thing to do. And again, you don't have to spend any money, but I can share anything that you can imagine, you know, whether it's my Howard Hanna, it all depends the outcome I want. So I might be doing messages about my Howard Hanna site, what you can find there, what you're going to find on another site. It fascinates me, and I would have been the first guy to say that's not it. But in my study of social media over the last 12 to 15 years, at one point, we just wanted to be out there in a conversation. So people aren't buying a house every day, so you can't just beat them to death with houses. You want to do all this other stuff. And I would argue the thing people want to see the most from a realtor is a picture of a house. My research and of the things that I've posted, they're interested in the homes that we have for sale. So a couple cautions to that. If you don't have the home listed, and I'm out here showing 123 East Main, can I take a picture of 123 East Main and put it on my Facebook page and say, here's a great house in Annville, and I'm showing it today? What do you think? Yes? No? Martin, what do you think?
You better have permission.
That's about a mine. You got to have permission. I don't have the listing to market that home. So when we talked about business pages earlier, if you're on a business page and you're talking about the house, the real estate commission is going to interpret it as an ad. So then you need a listing contract because that allows you to advertise it. So technique that I just heard of from my friend Tom about 2 weeks ago. Why can't you stand at the entrance to the development? Here I am at Flying Hills, have the Flying Hills sign right behind you. Today I'm out here showing homes in Flying Hills. It's amazing, the home that just came on the market, just walked through it, $450, absolute bargain. If you're looking to buy a house in Flying Hills or the Lower Dauphin School District or whatever it's got going for it, you're looking for the one with the pool, something that has 8-car garage in the basement, call me. That's all permitted. But if I've got the home in the background, we've crossed the line into something that's not a permitted use. So you got to be very careful with that. And we can talk about that for hours too. But don't let it stop you. Just be smart about what you do. I do a lot of work from my side porch. Love it. Sit out there. I've got Wi-Fi. I've got my side porch, flowers all around. And I think it's the most delightful home office that there is now that it's getting warmer again. At 40 degrees, it's not delightful. But at 65 on up, it's a pretty nice place to hang out. And no one bothers me. And it's better than being in my office.
You talked about the flowers, but you didn't talk about the drink in your hand.
Well, it's not 5 o'clock. But you have all these tools, you have all this flexibility, you've got all these ways to push your message out. The beautiful thing is you can be your own PR company. You don't have to wait for the guy with the camera. You don't have to wait to have the money to spend. You don't have to wait for anything. If you get an idea, just go online and share it. It is incredible. There are a lot of stalkers. I say 80% of the people on Facebook are stalkers. They never like, share, or comment. You never know they're there, except they're there in the counters. But if you aren't talking to them, it doesn't matter. They want to be stalkers or interact. I don't care. Naturally, we all like the likes and the comments, but get the message out there. That's the important piece because it's going to help people find you on Google simply because you're active somewhere else. And if they go searching for a Shrewsbury realtor, all this other stuff comes into play. And then who do we find? Martin Heaps, because he's doing podcasts. I got to go find that. So you did a farm credit podcast. Cool. And you got a great voice for it, so that should be a good one.
That was fun. They were talking about interest rates and what properties were hot in the market and price of corn and soybeans reflect the price of farmland and stuff like that.
You know, many of you don't know, Martin and I, like he said, we both have auction backgrounds. We've been in this business a long time. Martin is more in tune with farms than I am. But we had a conversation probably 4 months ago now. If you aren't paying attention, the price of farms and farmland, it didn't go up. It is multiplying. We're talking exponential factors of 2 and 3x that it has gone up, and it's not dropping back. And still
No.
trying to figure out why, other than there's a lot of money walking around that wants to buy stuff. And so if you're looking at a piece of land, don't trust what you think you know. Look up some sales, because it is hot stuff right now.
Yeah, and don't be afraid of it just because it's something different. I see so many people over the years in getting into real estate, and they're scared to death of to sell a building lot, or they're scared to death of a 100-acre farm, and they walk away from it. It's no different. And if any of you guys, I've helped a lot of the agents in other offices. If you ever get into something, you're not comfortable with it, give me a call. I'll help
Yeah,
with it.
that's what we're for. We'd be happy to answer that question. We want to see that Hannah sign out there for you and see you get paid on there's nothing like a nice $1 million transaction to make your day.
Gina's got one coming up in East Berlin, and Gina, sells a lot of real estate, but this one had her a little bit worried because it was a farm. It's a 40-acre farm. The guy sold his big farm and built his retirement home, his and her retirement home. And they were interviewing realtors. And Gina said, "Will you go along?" I said, "Sure." I said, "I'll go along and we'll go get it." It's going live this week sometime at $1.4 million. So
How many acres?
it's only 40, but it's a house beyond belief. We went upstairs, up into the upstairs foyer, I guess. And she says, "Push that button," the woman did. "Push that button." I pushed the button and down came the chandelier so they could clean it. Push the button, back up goes the chandelier. This place is pretty special. When we first started thinking about it, about the pricing, there's no comparables for something like that. So we did a cost approach and said, okay, what's it going to cost to reproduce this darn thing? And we said, you know what, $1 million plus all day long. So we're taking it to $1.4 million, and now the folks had a stroke. So the fellow had a stroke, so they had to take some time to get moved out. So we were there about 2.5 months ago, and they're finally ready to market it. But I think the market has come up, and I'm pretty comfortable with that $1.4 million
Yeah.
with what's happened in the last quarter. It's nuts, and there's so many people have so much money. So
So talk to Gina, create a Facebook video and share it into DC. You're in that DC range down there.
that's probably true.
From what I'm seeing, and with that migration tool, that would be your smart money if you're going to spend any money doing anything. I would give that one a try. I'd love to hear how that worked.
Yeah. We used to sell in our own towns, but now we're reaching outside. I mean,
Sure.
we never went into another county to sell real estate years ago. Now we do.
Yeah. And it's easy today. The data is one seamless blob, so you can go anywhere. So Jessica, Laura, you have any questions for me while we have it? We're going to wrap things up here for the world. Going to give it a try?
Great. So I'm gonna investigate and maybe get some of that software. And I've been thinking about a lens for my phone for a while. So I appreciate all of your help.
It's my pleasure. As you go around, if you're just looking for lens kits, I think for the reasonable price of about $15, you can get some little clip-on lenses.
Where's a good place to go, John? Would that be like Best Buy or someplace?
There really isn't one. If you want to buy some cool stuff, go to something like B&H Audio. Just Google B&H Audio and Video. They're in downtown New York, in Manhattan. And they will sell you, that's where a lot of this stuff comes from that I buy. Either B&H or another site is called Adorama, Adorama. But you get a little clip guy like this and a series of lenses. So I can go with a wide angle lens, I can go with a fisheye lens, and you get a nice little set like this for like 15 bucks. Now, some of the microphones I have, they're approaching probably approaching $100. But you find the darndest stuff out there. I was an old Radio Shack guy, so back in my auction days, I liked lavalier mics to go with my PA system. I wasn't going to hold a microphone all day. I needed my hands. So I got these lavalier mics. They were like 29 bucks. They'll plug right into your phone. You might need, if you have an Apple phone, you got to be careful because Apple has a weird connection. When you look at the end of your connector, if you see 3 segments on it, well, Apple requires 4. So this one took me, I fell in a lot of holes figuring this out. But what you need is a TRS to TRRS adapter. So what the whole world uses, all your headphones, all your stuff with little, when you look at the plug, it's got 3 little segments to it. That's a TRS. Well, Apple has 4. That's called a TRRS. You don't have to know anything more than that, but you do need an adapter because you'll find you'll have equipment that will work or not work. You add this little $5 connector, and I have them that go either way because I get in a lot of situations. You'll find that you bought this great microphone and it doesn't work. So you do need some little connectors depending on your phone, but they're like $5. B&H will send it to you. You know, you spend $25 and there's no shipping. So you go buy 1 or 2 things, they'll ship it to you. You're going to have it tomorrow. These guys are really on the ball. They have great stuff.
How about that microphone? It looked like it had fur all over it to block the wind noise.
Yeah, this is a Rode mic. And so if you do work outside like I do, wait a second, which camera am I going on? This is called a Rode mic.
Mhm.
And looks just like that. So I have an iPhone, so I need a bunch of adapters. But there's my Rode mic. And the pin right here, you're going to see is 4 segments. You might be able to see that.
Yeah.
But it's a shotgun mic, which means it's very directional. If it's not pointed at you, it doesn't pick you up. So I can be standing in the middle of an interstate with trucks going by on both sides, and the only thing you're going to hear is me. And if it's windy and I'm outdoors, now we put this, it's called Dead Cat, and it's going to take out all the wind noise. And so I come through crystal clear because audio is a critical piece. And then since it's an iPhone, and I've got a current iPhone, you need their little lightning adapter. So that completes the set. And I can put this on anything. But I do a bunch of community service projects, and I get called in because I have this bag of tricks because everybody wants clean audio and they can't figure it out themselves. So they call me, and if you have time on Tuesday at 10, stop by. We're doing a ribbon cutting or whatever it is, and I'll show up and help them out.
Hey, John,
Yes,
can I add something?
sure.
I think one thing that I plan on doing in the future is a multi-platform live stream across. You can do LinkedIn, anything that you pretty much want to do. If you're going to do a live video, why not put it on every platform that you're on at the same time? You're going to hit a lot more people, and it's actually free software. So I'm kind of like, why not?
Yeah, it takes an extra step in there because every platform has rules for the video that comes in and who can stream live. YouTube, you need 1,000 viewers or 1,000 followers before they turn on the live segment. So Katie, what's the name of the software that you're going to use? Katie, you're muted. Well, you'll find that there's a little bridge platform that you need, and that allows you to stream to multiple platforms.
OBS.
OBS, there you go.
Sorry, I
That's-
didn't realize I was remuted.
Yeah, that seems to be a popular one right now.
It's the only really one that that's free. But then if you want to do something like on a business page on Facebook, if you want to go live there, then you do have to pay for a restream, and you basically get like a one key, like a streaming key that then you can choose which platforms you can toggle them on or off of which ones you actually do. I'm learning this just now, so I thought I'd throw it in there.
Yeah, I'm part of the team that helped get our church online a year ago, and we're using a similar software like that. My partner is a IT guy for Penn State, so he knows some cooler tools than me. But it's very cool to stream live to these platforms and multiple platforms. But don't overthink it, guys. Whip out your phone and just take a video. If you're not comfortable, I would tell you to, practice. It's the easiest way to get around doing it. Laura, any questions or comments for us?
I do have one question. You mentioned the little base that you had for your phone with the lens on top of your phone. Was that iStage? Is that what you had said?
iStaging, ISTAGING.com.
Okay, great. Thank you.
That'll let me host 3 live tours constantly per month. So as long as I have 3 active tours, it costs me $5 for the month.
Okay.
And then you have to buy their equipment or have something similar. And you'll find that there are other products out there in the world. But theirs has been incredibly reliable. I've been using it for a couple of years. When COVID hit last year, it's like, let's get out all the junk. I actually had to renew my subscription because I had left it lapse because it wasn't my focus. And brought it back up, and I went from unlimited to 3 tours. But I can create those virtual tours, and then it actually has tools where I could put a link in there to another video. So if you get to the kitchen, and it's a high-end kitchen or any area that you want, I could have a little button there. You click that, and now a video from YouTube will be called up. And so I can bury stuff inside this tour. So you can just think of all the links. So if you've got high-end appliances, there's a Sub-Zero refrigerator. What if you click on the link and a Sub-Zero ad pops up and talks about how awesome their equipment is? And then you'll research it and find it that, oh my gosh, it's a $5,000 refrigerator in this house. It starts to give you a little different feel, and you get to leverage everybody's marketing tools. I've wanted to do one of these 360s and stage it, and I can't get anybody to play with me. I've wanted to do one for years where you stage it that as you're panning around. Do you remember a few years ago, stop action photographs were so popular. Everybody was frozen in place for a photograph. Now imagine your 360 tour, and as people are panning around, my son has a distillery out in Oregon, and I wanted to do it in the tasting room where we had everybody posing like they're at a party. And so we would just have them as part of the scene. It just adds a whole different element to the house and to a really boring, still image. So you could bring some life to it. You could have someone, you could do it yourself. Just stand there holding a cue card. Ask me about the special financing. Ask me about first home buyer financing. Do you know that you could buy this home with only $1,000 of your own money under the new K-Fit program through PHFA? And you can bury those things in there, which are little calls to action. And then you would know that somebody was really playing with your tour to even come up with the question because they had to find it in the tour. So you can keep adding little layers to it and amplify your message. Or we all want to do the scene with everybody, standing at the front door holding the sold sign. You can go back and layer that in. Just a thought. And it keeps it, gives you longer shelf life for this stuff that you've done. Well, everybody, I appreciate your time. I hope this was helpful to you. I play with this stuff probably more than I should, but I have done thousands of hours of videos over the year. And the one thing I know for certain, nobody else is doing it. As long as I've been pushing this rock, very few people are doing anything close. And in Hershey, Amber Bronke and I, we run out and do a few videos, and she's giving it a try. you know, she has these $1 million houses for sale. Why not? You know, what a great association. So you put these out, and people, just like I associate Martin with farms, you could go out. If you're new to the business and you haven't done one deal, we'll go out and talk about homes that you'd like to list and start to create the perception that you're the $1 million agent in the market, that you're the farm agent, that you're the investment agent, that you specialize in downtown Carlisle. I'm from Lebanon, and I retired from managing several years ago because I had a calling to help promote the city of Lebanon because nobody was doing it. And there's a lot of vacant real estate. I just happened to sell real estate. So I thought I could go lease and sell this stuff. And so I positioned myself as the go-to guy in the city of Lebanon. And so someone posted something last night or commented on a post I had yesterday, and they're calling me Mr. Lebanon. I've been called the Lebanon Whisperer. I've been called, everybody wants me to run for mayor. I'm very visible, but I'm always promoting your business or something about our community. It's never about me because I'm already there. And so it is an easy way to get recognition in your community. Just walk in and tell them, oh, I love your coffee shop. I'm going to do a quick little video and tell my audience I'm a local broker. Here's my card, and check me out on Facebook. And do you want to say a little bit about your business? Boom. Because this is what I look like to most people. What are you doing? It's amazing the response you'll get because they don't do it for their own business. And so you're giving them a voice. This brings you referrals all day long. All day long. And it takes nothing. You're already there buying coffee. Take an extra minute. It gives you content for your page. It gives a plug to them. You make a new friend. They see you. They know who you are. And then suddenly everybody thinks, oh, John and Martin must be close. He's in doing videos in Martin's shop all the time. I like Martin. I like John. It's the way it works. So I hope this is helpful to you. I have a lot of fun with it. I firmly believe in it. And I do a lot of this, have for years. You'll find I've got thousands of videos out there. But I would tell you, start small, but start. Make sure you get out there and just talk about what's going on in the business. And if you need some ideas, we'll look at my page. There's a bunch of them. And there's a lot more. I just don't ever get around to. So thank you, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. I hope it's helpful. And
Thank you. It was very helpful.
Let's go out and list something this week. Get some sales going.